Hey guys and girls, what's up? It's Lok, back at it again, doing some bench. So I'm doing my bench first, and this is 110 kilos, as we can see here. They surprisingly felt really light actually. So I thought after the colonoscopy, which was yesterday, there would be a massive effect there because I pretty much didn't eat. So I pretty much refeeded after the colonoscopy. I use refeed with apostrophes, but I really only had about 2 meals. So I'm pretty sure I was still in a caloric deficit over the 2 days. But man, these felt really good. Like it didn't feel like anything when I had the weight on my hands. Because originally I planned 3 sets of 2, but I ended up doing 4 sets of 2 to get a bit of extra volume. And that was at a relative intensity of 96%. At 91% of my 1 rep max. Now, here's the thing. I think my bench has been moving really well because I've used a conservative 1 rep max. Like, I know I will pretty much hit 120 on any given day. Whereas when I started the mesocycle, I used 125. And I think that's my mistake. And I used to always put my true 1 rep max, but I find that it's actually better for me to put a more conservative 1 rep max. And I know Wendler's is also a big advocate of using a more conservative 1 rep max. And personally, based on my experience, I would concur as well. I generally do better on higher rep work and lower intensity work. So 60 to 70% is where I'm much better at doing work. Whereas anything below 3 reps, I find it becomes a lot more difficult for me. So I don't think the 1 rep max scales correctly. But everyone is different when it comes to training, and that's why it's really important to understand how your body feels, and why I do generally believe that if you're quite, I wouldn't say advanced, but if you really care about progressing further, I do think learning how to program is really important. Because in my experience, I find that, yeah, cookie cutter programs do work really well, and it generally applies for most people, but everyone has different ability to tolerate certain amounts of volume, intensity, training frequency, etc., etc. So I personally find that I do really well if I make sure that the RPE is nothing above a 9. And to be honest, most programs shouldn't give you anything above a 9 RPE anyways, but some people thrive from grinding reps. I've seen that happen actually, anecdotally, but I do think most people will benefit from not grinding reps. But that's just me personally. So as always, I would recommend people to see a professional and maybe try online coaching as well. Try out different methods, see what works best for you, and you'll figure it out as you go. And this is my genuine opinion. I do not believe that you can cheat barbell experience. You can be really strong on machines, you can have a lot of experience, doing bodybuilding style training, but when it comes to strength training, it's really hard to cheat out of barbell experience. Now, some people are capable of getting strong really quickly, and that's when they don't practice their technique and try and become more efficient with their lifts. For someone like me who's not genetically gifted at all when it comes to strength training, I've had to really dial down on technique, learn everything that's possible to allow me to be the most efficient. Now, I'm still working on my squats. I find that for me, squats have always been my weakness. It's just something that never really grew. But that's also largely because I only hit it twice a week at the most when I was doing bodybuilding style training. I used to run I used to run a push-pull leg split, and I would run it 6 days a week. So I would only hit legs twice a week. And that's generally quite enough for hypertrophy. But when it comes to building strength for me personally, I really have to hit the compound movements often if I want to see results. So generally anything below 3 sessions, I struggle to improve on the lifts. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't mean that you can't progress with only 2. You can't progress in your compounds if you only train them twice a week. I've seen people who only bench twice a week, but their bench still rockets up. And here's the thing. This is my belief. Volume is the key indicator for hypertrophic growth. And when it comes to intensity, it's the same principle as well. So if you hit the right amount of volume and intensity, it doesn't matter how often you frequently hit your lifts. So for example, if let's say I hit 3 sets of bench a week, that means, and if I train 3 days a week, that means I hit 9 sets in total. Now, if you want to hit 9 sets in total, you could also split it so that you only do 2 sessions of bench a week, but you do 4 sets one session and 5 sets one session. And assuming that volume stays the same, you should theoretically progress at a similar amount. Now, for me personally, I prefer to split my training so that I train more frequently. So if I have to throw in more volume, I would rather throw in an extra day as opposed to do more on any given day. I find that it's easier for me to manage my recovery, and that's why I would personally choose and prefer to do that instead. But yeah, completely went off on a tangent. But for high bar squats, I did 3 sets of 6, 106 kilos, and then I did good mornings for 3 sets of 10, 50 kilos. They felt really good. I just got a nice little stretch on my hamstrings, and then worked on my back a little bit. But to be honest, my hamstrings are really my weak point in my posterior chain. My glutes are generally okay. They're not super strong, and I'm not really good at hip thrusts, but my lower back is actually really, really strong. So that's because I used to do really crappy sumo deadlifts with really crap technique. So it was all lower back. But yeah, my lower back got really strong from doing deadlifts like that. I ended up hitting a 210 kilo with a rounded back. So my lower back has never been the problem, and it's always my glutes and hammies. So I really try to hammer down on hamstring accessories. And then I did seated cable rows for 3 sets of 8 with the stack at 11. And then I finished off with some weighted planks. Thank you, Stella, for helping me out there. She saw me struggling with trying to put the plates on my back. I just don't have the mobility to use both my hands to place it on my back. So I try to roll it over on my back. So it was really nice of her to do that. She's also super strong. I think she squats like 140 kilos as well, and she weighs like 30 kilos less than me, 20 something. So yeah, there are really some strong girls out there, and I 100% hope that more women get into strength sports as well as martial arts. I really think that'll benefit them, and hopefully this channel will lead them to it. But as for now, I just want to say take care, and I'll speak to y'all soon.